Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on May 11th, I asked the Justice Minister to explain her failure to fill judicial vacancies in this country, and I mentioned how this unacceptable shortage of judicial appointments had led to a situation in which many Canadians were denied access to the justice that they dearly deserve. I will remind the Minister of the struggles which are currently being faced by a family of Dwayne Demkiw. They live in my riding of Saskatoon-Grasswood. Their son, Dwayne Demkiw, was murdered May 31st, 2015. His remains were discovered on April 5th, 2016. But his accused murderer is not scheduled to stand trial until 2019.
Shameful.
It is unacceptable that his family will wait nearly 4 years, Mr. Speaker, from the time their son's disappearance until next year, 2019, in order to see some semblance of justice for the loved one that they have lost. It is a tragic burden on the victim's family, a burden which they should never have been forced to bear. And yet this Liberal government is not doing anywhere near enough to address this problem, to remedy the injustices which have been suffered by the Demkiw family.
They don't care.
Alberta, where the trial is scheduled to take place, currently ranks among the top in the country as the province with some of the highest numbers of judicial vacancies.
Yeah, where are the appointments?
As of June 1st, Mr. Speaker, 8 vacancies in the province of Alberta's Court of Queen Bench alone.
Unbelievable.
And get this, 57 judicial vacancies across Canada.
Incredible.
They haven't been filled. Those vacancies translate into a delayed justice system which only intensifies the hurt which is felt by the victims of crime, such as the Demkiw family. As a result, the rights of victims and their families are brushed aside and negatively impacted due to the failure of this Justice Minister to deliver an effective, efficient, and compassionate justice system to Canadians. Delays in our justice system provide no closure for the victims and their families, and it does nothing to improve the lowered confidence which Canadians have in this system. No one benefits from this except the accused. The Supreme Court of Canada acknowledges that unreasonable delays in the justice system are severely harmful for Canadians, and so it set the Jordan decision as the guiding ruling for trial deadlines. Despite these rules, and despite the decision from the Supreme Court, that delayed justice is unacceptable. Yet this Liberal government continues to ignore this problem by appointing more judges to handle trials and other cases before the courts. They have failed to do so.
Fewer judges.
The government, yes, fewer judges. So the government has had plenty of time to address this issue, 2.5 years to be exact. They have had plenty of time to fill these judicial vacancies. The Demkiw family is living in a nightmare. They are constantly in my office in Saskatoon. They've had to take an enormous expense in order to cope with this terrible tragedy. They've had to take time from work, frequent travel between Saskatoon and Edmonton, and of course, they are trying to support Dwayne Demkiw's youngest son. Mr. Speaker, as we go on and I see my time is running out, I want to ask the Minister once again, why has this government done so little to fill judicial vacancies, such as a late stage in their mandate of 2.5 years?
Good.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of International Trade.
Mr. Speaker, I am very pleased to rise on the serious matter of judicial appointments. Since elected, our government has taken significant steps to ensure that the process for appointing judges is transparent and accountable to Canadians and promotes greater diversity on the bench. At the same time, we recognize the challenges courts face with respect to court delays, which have come under heightened scrutiny since the Supreme Court of Canada's Jordan decision. We've demonstrated that we are committed to responding to these challenges by introducing Bill C-75. This bill promises substantive reform that will fundamentally address delays and modernize our justice system. Let me assure the member opposite that the minister is very mindful of the effect judicial vacancies can have on the effective operation of a court. The minister is absolutely committed to ensuring that the most meritorious candidates are appointed to the bench in order to meet the needs of all Canadians. Since elected, our government has appointed or elevated 183 judges to superior courts across the country, including 5 in Saskatchewan. And today, the diversity of our appointments is unprecedented. Under our government, 57% of appointed or elevated judges are women, compared to just 32% under the previous government. Our government is committed to continuing to strengthen our judiciary. Budget 27 created funding for 28 new federally appointed judges. Using this funding, the minister has appointed judges to new judicial positions in Alberta, Ontario, Quebec, and Newfoundland and Labrador, with more such appointments to come. And through Budget 2018, we're creating 48 new judicial positions, including a judge for the Saskatchewan Court of Appeal. This new position responds directly and positively to a request from Saskatchewan. This additional judge will assist that court, the highest court in the province, to address a growing number of civil and criminal appeals, as well as increasingly complex matters. The amendment to add this position to the Saskatchewan Court of Appeal is currently before Parliament in Bill C-74. Fundamental to the judicial appointments process is the Judicial Advisory Committees. They evaluate the applications of those who have put their names forward for judicial appointment and provide lists of highly recommended candidates to the Minister of Justice. As a result of the changes we introduced, the GACs are now more balanced and inclusive. We also made changes to help achieve a more representative bench with broader diversity of backgrounds and experience, allowing candidates to speak to their own understanding and experience of Canada's diverse makeup. We also increased our ability to validate candidates' bilingual capacity.
The honourable member for Saskatoon-Grasswood.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. That doesn't answer the 8 vacancies in Alberta, 57 in this country. You know what, Mr. Speaker? 2 of our colleagues held a news conference in Calgary in April. Calgary Nose Hill and St. Albert Edmonton. Funny, because after the news conference, talking about judicial vacancies in Alberta, poof, the next day, they appointed one. Within a week to 2 weeks, 5 more were appointed in Alberta. So, Mr. Speaker, do we have to have news conferences every week in the province of Alberta for this government to fill the 8 vacancies that they currently have?
Here, here.
Honourable Parliament Secretary to the Minister of International Trade.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To those who accuse our government of inaction, let me highlight just a few of the ways we've acted decisively and on multiple fronts to ensure the Canadian justice system is there for Canadians. To date, our government has appointed or elevated 183 judges across the country and appointed 40 deputy judges in the territories. 2017 was a record year. We appointed 100 judges.
Order. We only have one member recognized in the chamber at a time. I recognize that from time to time a member will add a remark or two here or there, but an ongoing banter is something that is too disruptive. And I want to just have one member recognized at a time, and that at the moment is the Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of International Trade.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, because I think my honourable colleague will be very interested to know that in 2017 we appointed 100 judges, more than any government in the past 2 decades. We created 28 new judicial positions in Budget 2017 to respond to demonstrated workload increases on these same superior courts, including in the area of criminal law. And through Budget 2018, we proposed the creation of an additional 46 new judicial positions. Mr. Speaker, that is 74 new federally appointed judges across our country to respond to the needs of the courts and the needs of Canadians. As this brief account demonstrates, our government is dedicated to ensuring our justice system is accessible, efficient, and effective for Canadians. Thank you very much.